I was just praying for the Lord's timing with all this, is as her water had broke, you know, we didn't want any of the kids to have to wake up.
So yesterday was National Home Birth Day, and usually I don't even do anything for these holidays, but I am super passionate about home birth. 7 of the 10 of our children were home births. 2 were unassisted or daddy assisted births, and 2 of those 7, and then 3 of them were born in the hospital. The freedom of home birth and the way it changes labor for the mom and bonding for the baby, actually it changes everything for the entire family. So I'm very passionate about home birth and I love it so much. It has brought so much freedom into our birth stories and into our family, and has opened a lot of doors that you wouldn't think it would. So I waited a really long time to share I've waited to share Asher's birth story because I wanted it to be perfect, and I wanted it to be tidy, and I wanted it to be calm and a sit-down conversation with a cup of coffee and quiet with Brandon, because basically it was just the 3 of us there. The kids were all in the house, but it's just a story that the 3 of us can share. But with so many littles, that tidiness will never happen. So we're just gonna do this. It's probably gonna be an uncut version. He'll remember things that I don't, and I'll do firsthand experience what his RV unassisted home birth was like. Okay, a little backstory on my pregnancies and my labors. So Asher is our 10th baby. I had 4 boys first. All those boys were Caden was our very first, and he was induced because of preeclampsia. All the other boys were either a week past their due date or more. I've always gone over. 42, 43 weeks is my go-to. All of my boys are between 7.5 and 8 pounds. And then I had 5 girls after all those boys. And all of my girls are 42 to 43 weekers also, and they are all 8 to 10 pounds. Hattie was 9'9". She was our 9th baby, and she was huge. And it was a beautiful birth, and I'm so thankful I had a midwife because her shoulder got stuck. So I've had a couple of births where I've had midwives, and I've needed them to be there. So this birth was weighing on our heart heavily, that it'd be safe. We didn't not want a midwife per se, but finances just didn't allow for one. And just for the sake of the backstory, and so you guys know where we're at, I wasn't necessarily pro unassisted birth. Like, that's not my jam. I'm not like woman power. I love it. I support you if that's you, but that's not me. The reason why I share this is because there was a lot of shame that I had that had threatened to steal the joy of Asher's birth, just because he was born in an RV at a campground, and Brandon did deliver him. And when you do things differently, people judge you, or you even think people are judging you. It's scary. It's scary and vulnerable to share things that are different than mainstream or different than other people would do. So we had prayed heavily, and we had searched, and we had applied for several rentals for months leading up to Asher's birth. And I want to say more than 10. And we weren't chosen for any of those rentals for various reasons. Most of the time, people see how many kids we have, and
That's the reason, I would say.
People see how many kids.
They get scared of how many people will be in their house.
Exactly. Which I understand. So the Lord didn't answer those prayers in particularly, but he answered a host of other prayers surrounding Asher's birth. Leading up to it, we had prayed for God's timing, because I don't know a ton of people here in Tennessee, and the couple that I do know, I asked for prayer, of course. And there's one family in particular that I had asked if we need you to watch our kids, if Asher happens to be born in the day, and because I was very afraid of having him in the camper and having the little ones cling all over me because labor's hard.
That just would not be possible. So
it would have made my labor very difficult.
I was just praying for the Lord's timing with all this, as her water had broke. We didn't want any of the kids to have to wake up, because then that would mean we'd have to get them off to a friend's house an hour away,
Yeah.
which would have been very difficult.
And usually when my water breaks, I have my babies right away. So that
within like a half an hour to an hour.
So that leads into that. That is for the last 9 babies. Or no, 8, because Hattie was different. So for the 8 babies, if my water breaks, it usually breaks at the very end of my labor, and I have pretty long labors. I have prodromal labor for weeks, and then my labors are usually 14, 15 hours long. And then right before the baby comes out, about a half an hour max, my water breaks about a half an hour before delivery. So Asher's story, back to Asher's story. The week leading up to his story, it was very rainy. It was rainy at the camp, and I remember like overwhelming anxiety, and I had asked a few friends to pray for me about timing and about the cramped space and about being claustrophobic and having anywhere to walk, because I'm a walker in labor. I like to move. That's why home birth is so huge for me. And there's nowhere to move in an RV, and there was really nowhere for me to walk at the camp. We weren't in quarantine yet because he was born on February 6th of this year. So we weren't in quarantine yet, but because of the rain, because of having so many littles, and because of camp rules, we weren't allowed to just walk freely at our camp. And our van was broken, so I couldn't go anywhere to walk. So he was born on Thursday. Tuesday, I remember getting in a couple of packages from the mail from Amazon, and they were like shoe cubbies and things that I could organize with. And I just remember organizing my house. I had gotten my RV. We had gotten our camper really organized, and all the shoes were off the ground. The blankets had a place. All the girls' toys it was just tidy. The tidiest.
The nesting was complete.
The nesting was complete, and our RV was the tidiest it had ever been, which brought a peace. And I remember sitting there on Wednesday on the little steps of my RV that lead up to my bedroom. And I sat there and I just looked at Brandon and I told him, okay, a peace washed over me, and I felt like, all right, I could have a baby here. I didn't want to have a baby in an RV. And I was still afraid, but there was a peace there that if it did happen, whenever it happened, I could have a baby there. And at that point I was 40 weeks and 2 days. So I didn't think it was going to be happening for another 2 to 3 weeks. To be completely honest.
We were expecting 2 weeks at least more.
At least. At 40 weeks, that's the 3-week countdown for me. So I was not going to have a baby for a couple of weeks. So I had continued to wash laundry. I was walking up and down our RV steps for the next day and a half, washing many loads of laundry and hanging them to dry and just keeping up with the laundry, because laundry can overcome you quickly in our family and in an RV setting. So I was walking down to our outdoor kitchen to wash laundry in the rain and coming back up, and then another package had showed up from my sweet friend Erin, and it was a box of cloth diapers and some sweet little gifts from her, some essential oils, and one of them was Stress Away, I believe. Was it Stress Away? Or
Stress Away.
One of them was Stress Away, and I had meant to just drop a couple drops on the back of my neck, and I ended up, the plastic orifice popped off the bottle, and I had dumped the entire bottle of Stress Away on my neck on Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. I was like, all right, at least it's not like thieves or peppermint, it's Stress Away. No big deal. So Brandon poured coconut oil on my back and rubbed it in to kind of dilute it, but I was pretty relaxed at that point.
Yeah.
So I went about my evening, and we just continued to keep our house tidy, feed our kids, get everybody in bed. My mom called around 11 o'clock our time, which is 9 o'clock in California. And we chatted via Facebook Messenger. You can do a video chat. So we chatted, and talking to my mom always kind of lightens my mood and makes us all laugh. And we love her. If you don't know, my mom is crazy and wild and hilarious. And so we chatted via chat, and the girls got to talk to Grandma, and I was laying in bed at that point. No, I was sitting in bed. You can't really, there's nowhere really to sit but your bed in an RV. Yeah. So I was sitting in bed, and it was now 11:30 when I got off the phone with my mom. 11:45. We had tucked the girls in. Hattie was sleeping next to me. I was laying on my left side, and I think it was close to midnight, and I looked over at Brandon and I go, oh, I think my water just broke. Which was rather shocking because my water has never spontaneously broken.
No.
It breaks after contractions, but I had prodromal labor, what I thought was prodromal labor for weeks, which is normal for me. And then I had my water break at around midnight, maybe a little bit before midnight, maybe a little bit after, and no contractions for a while. And Brandon was like, all right, it's time. Let's get this show on the road. So we both began to pray quietly. I had been praying up that whole week. I had been praying that the timing would be perfect.
Mom,
Yes?
the plants don't have a little children. We didn't even waste it out.
That's okay. We'll plant some more, okay? So I had been praying.
My pretty hair.
Your hair looks very pretty.
Beautiful.
Very pretty hair. I had been praying for God's timing, that he was in charge, surrendered it all to him, that he was in charge. This baby was his more than he was mine, and he was the only one that could make this labor go safely and well. So contractions didn't start till around 2. That's when consistent contractions started, was around 2. I was walking right in front of our bed. There's a little 2-foot walkway, and I was pacing back and forth. And then I would sit on my little birthing ball, which would only fit there. It wouldn't move. So it was the circumference of my birthing ball fit right at the foot of our bed, and there's...
Right in front of the bathroom door, at the foot of the bed, and halfway in the hallway.
Yeah,
Or the walkway.
The walkway, not the hallway.
There's no hallway in the...
If you want to have a visual of it, on my Instagram feed or on my Instagram highlights, there's a camper highlight, and I'll show you exactly where he was born and the space I had to walk in. But so around 2:30, contractions started picking up, and I remember thinking, there's no going back now. So I just started praying, please, Lord, let him be born before the kids wake up. Please, Lord, let him be born before the kids wake up. And I remember Brandon telling me that he said he's going to be born at 5. He's going to be born at 5.
He's going to be born around 5. That's what I said.
So
Meanwhile, she was texting everybody she knew to pray, and had all the prayer warriors out there that she could think of at the time that would, in the middle of the night, they would answer her prayers and pray for her. We just thank you guys. You know who you are. That was awesome of you.
I did. So labor progressed, and those couple of hours went by so fast. Like, the pain obviously makes things take longer, but the really hard pain where you just think you can't do it anymore happened around 4:30, and I remember crying, and I do this every time. I looked at Brandon and I was like, I don't think I can do this. Am I gonna be able to do this? And he was reassuring as always and said, you can do this. You're strong, you can do this. We're gonna do this. And he prayed over me, and I got a text back from a couple of friends saying they were praying for me. And then I remember standing in front of my bathroom sink in between 4:30 and 5, and I look over, and this guy has busted out his EMT handbook. Praise the Lord for those EMT classes that he took in California before Shiloh was born. During my pregnancy with Shiloh, he became a certified EMT in the state of California. So we still have the books. So he has his EMT handbook busted out, and he's going through it. And I remember walking over behind him.
I had to make sure I knew the right steps. I didn't forget anything or leave anything out.
Didn't I tell you he's a perfectionist?
But I didn't even get to go through the book.
So I'm leaning over the bed, and I say, hey, bud, I think I need your help. And he goes, what? Are you sure? What? And of course he checks, and there's no more cervix. I said, well, how far am I dilated? He goes, oh no. So there's no cervix left.
Nothing.
So, sorry if that's too graphic, but birth is graphic, and that is a huge part of our story. So I could definitely feel Asher's head crowning. At that point, I began to push without realizing, like, that's my biggest fear too. I know I've had 10 babies. Oh, he's getting fussy, so we gotta walk. I know I've had 10 babies, but one of my biggest fears, I guess, from being trained by a hospital birth, like my first birth was a hospital birth, and tell you when to push. So I just always, I'm afraid I won't know when to push. But your body knows. And so I had begun to push, and I think the first push, Brandon saw his head, right?
Yes. Yeah, his head, he was crowning.
And then, so I think it was one more push, and his shoulders began to come out, right? Or you tell that part, because I obviously didn't see it.
Well, he was, he had his cord wrapped around his neck, so I had got my fingers in between there, and then the next contraction, there he came. He came, and we caught him right there.
I remember him saying, hold on, just wait 1 second. And I was like, dude, I can't. But I did. I held on for a second, and during that time, he had unwrapped the cord from his neck, and that last push, I think it was 2 solid pushes, and he was delivered, maybe 3, but that's it. And he was delivered, and he was born at exactly 5 a.m. Exactly 5 a.m.
Exactly.
Which is so wild, because looking back, I remember a friend saying that she woke up at 4:30 in the morning before even seeing my messages and started praying for my labor, and he was born at 5 a.m. So postpartum, after Asher's born, Brandon carries him or holds him and walks me over to the side of our bed, which is a little tiny little walkway, and I'm then sitting on the side of my bed with a brand new baby on my chest. And that is my entire favorite part of labor, is obviously after the baby's born, but that relief of, I just did that. We just did that, right?
You guys, she was a champ. Like, she did such a great job. The kids did not even wake up, not a peep out of them. They slept so good, and they slept in even that morning, so
the kids start waking up. Brandon does his EMT thing, massages my belly, make sure, massages my fundus like the nurses do. My worst part, like that's even worse than pushing for me, is when they massage your uterus to make it shrink back down. But he made sure that placenta came out. We're always afraid that it's gonna get stuck, and it didn't. It came out, and we just relaxed and enjoyed our baby and sat there. And I always am really super sad that I don't have these beautifully well-lit, gorgeous birth photos and family photos after birth, but we have these crazy, amazing memories, which I value so much.
And all of it, we just see the Lord's hand in it all, and I mean, that's amazing in itself, so they are pretty amazing stories.
So around 7:30, the girls woke up. All of our kids are sleeping down our 2 little steps in the middle of our RV living room on the couch, where they still sleep to this day. They're all sleeping there, and the boys are sleeping in the bunkhouse. Around between 7 and 7:30, the girls wake up and start trickling into the room, and Emma comes up, and Emma says, Abby, I told you Mom was gonna have the baby. I told you I heard her say my water just broke. And sure enough, they woke up to a new baby brother. Which they think is the most amazing thing ever, obviously. So yeah, then we start taking pictures and sharing with our family and posting on Instagram. And I think that part of, even in an RV, part of the beauty of home birth is that you recover in your own home. You feel safe, you feel secure, you feel taken care of, and you heal faster. So even with 10 kids on my 10th labor in an RV, I feel like I healed. My heart healed, my soul healed, my body healed so much quicker. And there was no more shame. He was here, he was safe, and we didn't have any more shame in the way he got here, because he was here, and that's all that mattered. Did you get it? Oh, you got it. Show me it. It's gonna jump out of your hand. It's a baby wind frog.
I want to load the door there.
Okay,
Let's go.
come on.